I was in the zone, bro.
You was feeling it right there.
Rock 2 episodes in a row, bro. It was good. I convert you.
Back
you in the bag.
back to back. Not fully converted, but you know what I'm saying.
Back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Scatter Roots podcast. I'm here with my boy Rudy. Rudy, what you doing, bro?
I am. You know what I'm saying.
You dripped out.
I'm all about my business today.
Yeah.
It's all about the bag.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying.
Paper chaser. That man dropped the headshots. He said,
Yeah, you
this
see
shit
me?
was so fly.
Hey, some of them hoes look like I'm like a secret agent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So hit me up if you have any hitman needs. I will fail you early.
Double O Ocho.
But I will take your money. Hey, that's not bad.
Double O Ocho.
I feel like there's a better way to like make that because like the Ocho, Double O Ocho. I'm gonna think.
I was thinking Chavo del Ocho. Double O Ocho.
That makes sense.
What other beaner ass number is there?
I don't know.
What frijol number
Juan.
is there? Double O Juan.
Double O Juan.
No, it was right there, bro. The layup was right there. I missed it.
Yeah, I did drop some headshots. Go check them out on the IG. Go check out the LinkedIn profile. Actually, I haven't updated it yet. Don't check it out yet, but it's coming soon. Yeah, shout out to the boy Johnny for hooking us up with or hooking me up with some new headshots. Hey, I had an idea.
What's your idea?
I'm gonna pitch it to you later because
Off camera?
off camera, offline. Hey, we'll have this discussion
Oh,
offline.
yeah. What's that? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, can you?
Oh, let me share my
One moment.
screen.
Let me pull this
You
up.
seen that?
Well, I'm definitely like closing out like 1,000 tabs in the back. It's already pulled up. I'm just cleaning up my desktop so I don't look like a...
Very topical jokes going on right now.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah.
Timely.
Exactly. So today's topic of discussion is, I don't want to say corporate specifically because it doesn't have to be just corporate life, but corporate work setting type of interactions, our experiences in these realms, like, you know, in our previous work settings now. I think it probably helps to give context. I've talked a little bit about it before, but do you want to give the people a little rundown on your employment and employment history?
Oh, we're actually talking about where we're working at? I wasn't
I don't
trying to
think you gotta
incriminate
say
ourselves.
where you work at, just background on the type of work environment that you are in.
So I'm an electrical engineer.
Oh, you're so smart.
More specifically, basically a programmer, embedded software. I work in embedded software.
You work in software for sure.
Yeah.
You work in tech.
Sure.
That's all the wave right now. Everything everything you see on Monica, right? Everything on TikTok and on Instagram and now is like, here's how I got into tech. Here's how I get paid $250,000 to work from home. Like, yeah, I know. Like people be selling.
I wish.
People be selling like dreams. To be fair, like it is an industry.
I have seen like
that has a lot of need.
Teach yourself Python because Python is like the best programming language to get into. This is how I, without a degree.
It is a very powerful language.
I mean, I know Python. It's cool.
Yeah, because it's universal. Like a lot of people.
I know a kid who like used Python to like script his what's the game called? Clash of Clans.
No way.
Yeah, he would script like which bases were easy to raid and like raid them using a Python script.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Python's cool.
It's very useful. You helped me out one time a long time ago when I needed help on like the most basic script. And
it was barely basic.
Yeah, very.
A toddler could have done that.
Thanks.
I'm more so downplaying what I did. It was nothing special.
I like had to like use it a little bit. But okay, so that's your background. So what type of, you work for a Fortune 500 company?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I work for a Fortune 500 company. Very big, very huge, very much small fish in a big pond.
And you've been in this environment for how long?
Since I graduated college, which was back in 2016. I'm an old man.
Bro, 2016 is 6 years ago now.
My arthritis be acting up. It's cold outside and I'm like... My elbows hurt.
Yeah, your bones be feeling bony. I don't know how to describe it.
my bones do be boning.
If you can feel your bones, it probably means you're getting old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been in this realm for some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And then so I've talked about it just recently, right? I got into a new position.
That's right.
In December. I was doing a rotation though in the same organization in June. So my experience, I think, is a little bit different than yours. Also a Fortune 500 company. Small fish in a big pond, for sure. So I think we have some good perspective to provide you that's been in it for a little bit longer, and me that's someone's coming into it. Although I have been with the same company prior to, right? I just came into like the corporate world.
The same level.
For sure. Yeah.
Excuse me if I'm peeking over there a lot. We're running on fumes over here. So.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Don't worry about it. Don't mind me.
Okay. Well, with that being
We're
said,
gonna get through this, guys.
man,
Together.
we didn't even address
together.
last time, Hunt, that we had like we never made reference to it.
What, the debacle?
Yeah, the debacle of the previous
No.
episode.
Previous episode was recorded twice.
Twice. Did we talk about it?
No, we didn't. I don't
We
think so.
didn't, right? We
That's how
didn't
good we
reference
are.
it. Good, yeah, good on us. Good on us to not. Like, you throwing up gang signs? Wow, very
Nah,
corporate.
bro. Yeah,
very
bro.
corporate of you.
Normalize gang signs.
Facts. Fucking facts. But okay, so I guess.
Just know there's a lot that goes down behind the scenes.
Oh man, it's a shit show. Like we said a couple episodes ago. If you're thinking about doing it, just don't do it.
Save yourself the heartache.
Yeah, save yourself the
And the
heartache. No, I'm
headache.
just playing. Go out and chase your dreams, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but let's jump into the topic. So, maybe help set the stage to kind of talk about why we think it's an important.
Build the scene.
It's an important conversation. So I'm gonna reference two statistics from two different time frames. One more recent, one a little bit older. So this one's from 2015, from the 2015 Corporate Inclusion Report.
Oh, by the way, that's why he's wearing the suit, actually.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm wearing the jacket.
And in true corporate America 2022, his bottoms don't match the tops. Show him what you got working. There it is.
We sweat it up, baby.
There it
We
is.
sweat it up. That sounds a little weird to say.
Get up. Get your junk at the camera, please.
You know what I'm saying? We out here. And like true fashion, once we're off camera.
This man threw on the suit for the Zoom
do you
meeting.
have a lot of Zoom meetings right now?
I had no one used their camera.
Dang, way to expose yourself.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Cut. Edit. That's an edit point right there. I'll fix that in post. Don't worry about it. Yeah, for real. No one uses our camera, though. And we don't use Zoom. We use WebEx.
Oh, we use WebEx too. Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like our conferences. It all has to go through Cisco.
Yeah, people at my company are allergic to using the webcam.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't. I try to, because I feel like it helps me, like in the interaction, like being able to like be seen. But yeah, have you seen the video recently of the guy that like stands up and he's in basketball shorts?
No.
It's so funny. Like this guy is sitting down, and I'm sure like there's probably like a million of these like since this all started, right? But this guy, it's him, and he's like a black guy, and then this white guy and this white lady. I think is like who it is, but the three of them, and they have their cameras on and they're talking, and then the kid of the dude walks into the room, and he's like, hey, like you know what I'm saying, like leave, like get back, and in a nice way, like in a fatherly manner. And he's like, hey guys, sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. And then the kid like 10 seconds later walks back in. So then this time, like he like gets up and like walks him too. Like, and like when he gets up, you see that he's like in basketball shorts. He has like a full button up shirt, like a full like tie, everything. And I guess he didn't realize that like you were going to be able to see his shorts. And the other guy's like, hey, nice shorts, whatever his name was. And he's like, oh,
Cool.
You seem unimpressed.
Thanks for that.
Hey man, it's something that I haven't had that happen to me, but it's definitely like a weird thing to have to think about.
Yeah.
But the focus of today is not working in virtual. The focus of today is being a Latino in a corporate environment
or a minority.
Or a minority. I did ask.
We just so happen to be Latinos again. But.
Yeah, 100%. So again, let me give you some statistics here. So this study based on the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility found that just over 7% of Latinos held board seats. That's higher, though, than the average when you're looking at Fortune 500 companies, right? So the initial report includes not just these big companies, but smaller ones, so maybe that's why it's a little bit higher. But that's still considered low. And of those, only about 2% were held by Latinas. So 7% and then 2% for Latinas. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
2% of the 7 or just 2% of the whole?
2% of the whole,
okay.
Not 2% of the 7. Yeah, good distinction.
That'd be mad tiny, 2%.
That'd be mad tiny. Which that's another like conversation to have, right? Like women and their lack of representation in like executive boards, CEOs, in right the glass ceiling. Is that what it's called? The glass ceiling?
I don't know.
Is that what it's called, Monica? The glass ceiling. Yeah. Okay.
That's a term.
Cool.
That's a term that means something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I know.
Come on. Get with it, bro. Okay, so then the article then states, overall, 4% of all executive positions were held by Hispanics, with Latina executives comprising just 1% of that. So again, this is now executive positions. And that's very troubling, right? This is 2015. So now let me give you some more numbers that are from a more recent, I think this is 2019 and 2020. But these are accounting for just kind of what we look like in the workforce in general. So to give you some context there, Latinos account for about 18% of the U.S. labor force. Now that is about what we make up for, like in general, right? Which makes sense, right? It makes sense that we make up the same population or the same percentage of people in our workforce as we do in the population. So the numbers coincide. But then only 1 in 7 own small businesses, and they occupy just 4% of executive roles and less than 3% of that of Fortune 1000 companies. So, and this is the biggest gap for any group.
Do those small businesses include the eloteros and the fruteros?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I feel like that number would go up.
It probably would, but
are they reporting?
Probably not. and I think that's an interesting, like, topic to analyze, because I think a lot of the times there's a narrative around, we're not capable of owning and operating our own businesses, or we're confined to like certain like spaces, XYZ. And that's not necessarily true. It's just, corporate in entities in Central and Latin America operate very differently than what they do here in the US. And I think the idea of like, I'm gonna like set up an S corp or an LLC and do like all these things, like that's just not something that you consider, like, by a lot of the people, like in circumstances that we may be familiar with. But that doesn't mean that they're not capable of like owning a business, because they do, right? They just don't have, like you mentioned, right, the official paperwork that states and such. There's a lot of people that I know, I have like family members that are basically like general contractors, right? They just don't have the legal entity, the legal name, but they are owning and operating their own business. I'll use my own mom as an example, right? Like she runs and operates a business basically. Now she's like a sole proprietor basically, she's rocking on her own, but there's not like a legal name there that's like tracking it some way, shape, or form. So, and that's not specific to just us.
She ain't got the invoices.
Definitely don't got the invoices. We got cash and like other things, and checks. But and maybe it's more trouble than it's worth sometimes. And I think sometimes what's hard is that can kind of impact like us.
Don't incriminate your mother, by the way.
I will not incriminate my mother. Sorry, yeah, she does nothing.
That is all a sham. She does nothing.
Yeah, this is just for the podcast.
Yeah, this is fabricating.
This is like a how rappers be saying like, "Dude, I'm just rapping." Like, dude, I'm just podcasting. I'm making all of this shit up. None of this is true. None of this can be held against me in a court of law. Thank you.
She makes no money. Zero.
I rest my case. I am my own legal counsel. Have you seen my picture from my headshots? Best legal. I was nominated top 100 lawyers in America.
Yeah, you're about to get disbarred.
Yeah, facts. But what's I going with it? I feel like that impacts us, right? Like we don't learn about the ability to set up our own businesses, what that would look like. There's like a bigger like challenge and hurdle when we're presented like with that even being an opportunity, because we may have the wherewithal, we may have the knowledge, we may have the ability, but sometimes it just, because it seems scary to me. I don't know, like considering like opening up a business seems fairly frightening. I don't know if you've ever felt or thought or considered what that would look like.
Yeah, it just seems like complicated. I'm not very smart.
Oh yeah, electrical engineer that works at Fortune 500 company.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. I do think it's kind of an intimidation thing, or just not knowing, I guess. People out here creating LLCs for fun and just other
LLC Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. And uno de hispano is like, ¿qué?
Well, yeah, there's because the government's involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and I think anytime you have government, the government's hands creeping into your life, there's a sense of like fear and like uncertainty that I think a lot of Latinos.
What do you think government hands look like?
Oh, they're old, white, and wrinkly.
Yeah, for
sure. They're real veiny. You know how like people's hands be like greenish,
like Khloe Kardashian's?
Almost? Bro, them hands is crazy.
She got them chicken feet. You see that tweet? It was like she looked like the monster that's under my bed.
The one that's like
that grabs my ankles when I sleep.
The one that scratches like the baseboards, like that you see. Oh my god! That's probably a good representation of like what.
That's corporate. Her hands are corporate America.
The government's hands.
Sorry, the government.
No, but yeah, to my.
I definitely don't want the hand anywhere near.
I don't want anything near me. Oh my god. Maybe scratching my back. I bet you it was be a big back scratcher.
Nah, dude, it's probably cold.
Oh yeah, it's fine. But no, my point is, anytime you have
her
the
caption was
government
so
involved,
stupid.
Oh my god, Kevin, won't let it go. What was it?
She said something about like, have you ever noticed how your enemies are never the ones that like backstab you? Something like that.
Oh my god, yeah,
like, well, no shit,
no shit. Yeah, the one that was like, duh.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like, how's an enemy gonna backstab you? Like,
we've immediately derailed and started talking about the Kardashians. I feel like this has happened before. Yeah. Hey, what's your opinion on Kanye and Kim's controversy? Have you seen that?
I couldn't care less, dude. I don't give a fuck about Kanye. But I will say, let that man see his babies.
And Kim, I feel you're in a tough position. I think.
I don't know anything. I just saw the clip about her and the Band-Aids. We're getting derailed.
I didn't see anything about Band-Aids.
It was not like keeping up with the Kardashians. She was bitching about Kanye. He's like, give me the Band-Aids. And she's like, oh my God, he wants me to get him Band-Aids.
Oh, I don't watch these television shows.
I'm not on Twitter. But who cares?
Oh, okay. It looks like you care.
No, I don't.
You know a lot more than I do. You know about the hands and the Band-Aids and all these other things. Kevin's keeping up with the Kardashians, y'all. Just so y'all know. But yeah, back to my point. Anytime the government gets involved, I think there's a little bit of, us hesitating. And maybe I'm like speaking from like a perspective that's very much my own, right? Because I have parents who, immigration is a big factor in this household based on, where they were and like where they are now. And so if you were to, tell my parents, hey, yeah, like we're going to do this and, that the IRS is going to be involved and XYZ, like this project's like, nah, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
So at the onset, it's a relationship that you may not be willing to take on, or you're like at least very hesitant to engage with.
For sure. Yeah, no, definitely.
But to that point, Latinos are actually one of the biggest contributors to like a growing economy, both in like companies being owned and in money being spent. Like we are a huge, I don't know how to describe it.
Participator in the economy?
Yes, perfect way. Sorry,
we spend money.
I could not find it. Well, both, right? Like we are providing services and goods now, and of course we are spending money. So like we have a huge impact in the economy, and it's only expected to like grow. So I think we're at a crucial time where we need to try to better understand what that looks like for us. I think your and I's experience is one where we are first generation Latinos who have parents that worked jobs that are very either service related or manual, like, labor, like intensive. And so now for this next generation of Latinos that are going to come in, and some of them exist now, we are going through these growing pains within these work settings and corporate like environments. And so I don't know if you had any stories or situations or just any opinions on what that's been like for you.
Oh yeah, before we go into that really quick, just because of the way you phrased that sentence, I guess it's akin to what the topic is, but more so not from the corporate standpoint, but from like a cultural standpoint. Have you had an experience or share the sentiment that like, okay, because you're in quote unquote like a professional setting now, you're basically sit on your computer and you work all day, right? Do you have any like input from like your family? Like, oh, you're lazy, you don't do work, you're not out here just because you don't wake up at the crack of dawn and get to work and stuff. Do you find that cultural clash at all?
It's a amazing question. I don't think I've been like confronted like as such where someone's told me like, oh, like I'm late. Again, I've only been doing this. I've only been in this work environment since like June, so I think it's very different for like my parents, because I feel like that's pretty much what you're asking about, right? Like, do your parents say?
Well, that's who would interact with you mostly, but maybe an uncle. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I haven't had anyone
Or maybe a cousin. Who knows?
Say anything like that. But I definitely get the impression sometimes of like,
I definitely get it.
What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing with your day? If you're not, again, going out and working yourself to death. If you're not working in construction, if you're not working at a store, if you're not like there's very much a projection of what typical work is. And this is the first time that I think and my sister does it. So, I mean, maybe that's why I haven't had a lot of it. Because my sister's already kind of set that precedent. Yeah, 100%. You know, she's been in corporate for a long time. And she worked from home even before COVID happened. She would go into the office occasionally, but she was working from home for the most part. And I think the biggest contributor there is then the compensation. Right, because I think if I wasn't in a more financially stable situation, and my sister wasn't in a very good financial like situation, then they would question it much more.
Sure.
Like, what are you really doing? Like, you know, like what's going on here? Like,
I found that's only lasted so long because I definitely get it a bit.
Yeah,
I feel there's definitely a high amount of pressure that comes, and I've spoken to a couple of buddies of mine, and surprisingly, it's crazy that a lot of the older generation tend to feel like this. Like, you feel like you go to school and you do all these things to put you in a position to have this type of job where we're blessed, right? You can say,
yeah, absolutely.
No job is more than another by any means, but you know, you have the luxury to be able to wake up at whatever time and you know, seemingly quote unquote like not do work, even though you are doing work, but it's not doing the work that they're used to seeing.
100%.
And so I've definitely had conversations with buddies of mine who would basically be like, oh, I get home at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I get to hop on Xbox, or I, you know, chill and get on my computer and start doing XYZ. And my dad's like, oh, you're done work? Like, you know, what are you doing? Like, whenever I was a kid, I would work from dawn to dusk and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just crazy, that generational, like, mind gap in, like, your mindset.
It 100%. And I don't want to move on from this because I think it's a reality that a lot of us can relate to.
And then it even creeps into something as trivial as saying, for instance, being, what's the word? Like useless with our hands almost. Like, like, oh, you don't know how to fix this. You don't know how to build that. You don't know how to change the alternator in your car. Yeah,
basically, right? Like you
know, like the memes of whenever you go help your dad something, it's like hold the flashlight or whatever. Yeah, you don't do nothing.
Bro, anytime there's like
pásame la tuerca. Which one's la tuerca? I don't know what that.
Anytime I see like a TikTok of like that, I like show it to my dad.
Yeah,
I'll be like, hey, look, this is you being an asshole, like yelling at me when I didn't know what like this exact tool was. Which, like, what do you think we're learning in school in second grade? Like, we're going through like tool labeling like class. Like, this is the screwdriver. This
much
is
less in
Phillips.
Spanish.
This is exactly. Sorry, Dad.
I'm in the opposite situation. Now I feel like I know all the tools in Spanish, but I don't know them in English. So when it comes up in English, I'm like, what's that? What are pliers? Las pinzas?
Oh, las pinzas.
Oh, okay. Say that, fool.
Yeah, no, I definitely think now I did work with my hands a lot more when I was younger.
Yeah.
So some of that I think I've been able to get away from. And because I think my role or my job is somewhat technical, a little bit less now, but it's somewhat technical. And we're sitting behind a computer. There's a lot that I think my parents don't understand. So they're like, okay, like, yeah, he's doing something that's like challenging and not just like sitting there twiddling his fingers, right?
But I definitely know that reality exists for a lot of us.
100%.
That there's pressure from our family members, our parents to do more.
And I think the other side of that is sometimes, because maybe what I haven't had happen is like them like saying something about what it is that I'm doing. Like, you know, you're not doing anything, like, you know, get off your ass. But I think maybe sometimes it's hard for them to understand that like after a day's work, like I'm exhausted.
Yes, dude, exactly that.
I'm exhausted.
It's like a different type, right? They think because you're sitting down and not sweating and not like carrying
in the sun
this or
100%
and working in roofing or whatever, that you should have more energy to do more stuff.
Like cool. How are you tired? You were just sitting down talking to people all day, like, you know, you were on your computer.
Yeah.
Which fair, right? I get it. Maybe
Physically,
this is
I'm
why
not
I
tired,
go to the
yeah.
gym, right? Because I know that I'm not doing these things while I'm at work. But sometimes, because I've worked in those, and don't get me wrong, those days suck. Like that sucks. Like having to move and like lift things and like build things, but there is a sense, and maybe this doesn't apply to everyone in these fields, but I think a large majority, there's a sense of like relief at the end of the day because you really don't need to give a fuck about anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're working at a store,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
who cares, right?
Mhm.
Like if you didn't like finish unloading inventory or like doing whatever, like very little impact is
The
like
pressures
felt there.
and the stressors are different.
Well, 100%. But like here, like when we are in like making, we're in these positions making, I think, decisions or like doing things that like are bigger than us. I get stressed out and I'm like working like, you know, like working my ass off trying to like make this make sense and like just trying to figure it out and like do good. And mentally it's exhausting exercise trying to like, you know, be good at my job.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that maybe, and I'm sure they felt it at some point, but maybe they just don't, they see that, right? So like they say like, oh, like, what are you tired from?
They just built different.
Yeah, I know, right?
Different. Yeah.
But then, you know, I'll ask my dad to like, you know, send me an emoji and he'll be like, rocket science. And I feel like, this is what I do all day, Dad. I build these things. Dad, just lie to him. You know what I'm saying? Like I do the most complicated things.
I design and implement these emojis in your phone.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even know how to send them.
Cool.
No, but yeah,
Well,
that's definitely.
Oh, sorry. That was a little. That wasn't planned at all, but I thought that was because of the way you spoke.
That's a great question, and I think that opens up to like the back end of that. Like, do you feel like some level of guilt though? Like whenever you are in this position that you're in now, where you are, you know, you have a good job, you're working from home.
Guilt. What do you mean by guilt? Or
compared to like what your parents' experiences were?
Mm,
Because I know I do. Even now, like, because my parents still work, right?
Sure.
So I know sometimes I've been in a situation where, for example, my dad gets up at 4 a.m. to go to work.
Yeah.
He gets home at 2 or 3. Sometimes he works at night as well. And there's a sense of guilt that I feel knowing that I'm in this position where I don't have to do those things, where I'm being compensated very well, and especially in compare, right? Like I don't want to say that this is the reality for a lot of people, but I'm sure there are where we make more money than our parents now, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, profoundly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it feels like sometimes they're working harder than I am.
Yeah.
Harder jobs,
sure.
right? As far as like labor intensive.
Sure.
And I feel a sense of guilt, right? Like, because if I get a break like during the day, I'm gonna chill on my phone for like 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's a good. Okay. So yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't know if guilt would be the word. Yes, if I like kind of think about it, and maybe I haven't thought about it in that way, I could see how you would feel that way. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I do consider myself a lot of times, like I said, blessed. I didn't want that to be misinterpreted because, again, like no job is better than the other one. Like every job has its merit. Every job is important.
For sure.
But like you said, we have a lot of luxuries that we can afford ourselves and put ourselves in certain positions that they don't have the choice to do that, right? But for me, I guess because I feel like everything I've done up to this point has been for them, because that's just 100%. Like kind of how I've approached my life.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not a guilt sensation that I get, right? Because the way I see it, I'm like, dude, you can literally have my whole checking account right now. You know what I mean? Like, if it comes down to it, if shit hits the fan, like,
will be yours.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
100%.
What's mine is theirs, and that's the way I kind of approach it. So, on the one hand, dang, you work so much harder than me. You do so much more, but you should get paid more than me, right?
Yeah, sometimes that's
But it's 100%. Crazy because that's where, and I don't want to get into this too much because this is a whole can of worms. That's kind of where you talk about the difference between manual labor versus like the technical, right? You went to school for this, you trained for this, right? It's a different training, right? Mm-hmm. You know, doing the manual labor takes skill. I don't know how to hammer a fucking nail, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's different, right? It's different to, can you create a Python script like we were talking about earlier to do XYZ, right? So It's definitely a weird kind of worms. But for me, I don't know if guilt is the word. But I could definitely see how you could feel guilty because we are afforded a lot of luxuries. Well, afforded, but at the same time worked for them.
Earned.
Yeah.
And I think that's like sometimes tough for us to.
Which again takes me back to like, why are you tripping at me, man? Like I worked so hard to be in this position. It's not like I just woke up one day and said this and walked up to my company and was like, hey, do you need somebody to sit on the computer for 8 hours a day and get paid? You know, like, I had to work for it.
And a lot of it was, this is what was intended. Mm-hmm. Right when you came to this,
and that's what they wanted for us.
Well, exactly.
I don't know how many times my parents told me, "I don't want you working construction. I don't want you." My pops was he installed carpet and tiles and flooring. Mm-hmm. He worked there for a company named Flooring Services.
Is probably
trash. His back from carrying rolls of carpets upstairs.
Oh, I bet.
In the cold, them rolls of carpets become like bricks.
I can only imagine, bro.
So I remember being as a kid, he'd come home and have me like pop his back. He'd have me like stand on his back and do like the ones that they do
the chiropractors
where the ladies like walk on your back and like pop your back. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That'd be basically me. He's like, hey, come here real quick, and like I'd stand on his back and like.
It's fucking incredible.
So he would tell me like, I don't want this for you.
Yeah.
You feel me?
That's what they would say.
And that's how I see it. You know, I think we've spoken a little bit about it before. That's how I see. When I get upset looking at other kids that come out of the same situation as we did, like from Pleasant Grove and from Oak Cliff and stuff, and seeing kids throw their futures away almost. And again, no job is more than another. But I'm like, dude, do you think your dad wants you to follow in his exact footsteps? Dude, your dad wants better for you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing out here? Mm-hmm. You know, so that I get upset when I see that type of stuff.
Yeah, I do too. I don't even want to say upset. I get frustrated and then disappointed and then kind of sad.
Yeah, that's
because
I'm not getting like angry at them. Just like, dude.
Yeah, I think the obvious default there is you start to picture, you know, your own parents. You picture yourself. You picture.
We're good. Again, just checking it. If shit hits the fan, I'll let you know.
You see yourself, right, in the situation, and it's just sad, right? Because I think of someone like my mom, right, and this woman is like my life, and I want nothing but the best to come out of the sacrifices her and my dad made.
Yeah.
And I think I'm doing that, right? Takes some time, takes work, takes some luck. But now we're here, and sometimes it is hard to fight that sense of, man, like, I'm living right now a life that, you know, 10 years ago I didn't imagine, 20 years ago, you know, definitely didn't imagine. And I'm enjoying all these things, and, you know, with life, and just in the United States, this isn't even like just having these jobs. You're afforded these luxuries, like you're afforded the ability to like experience things that like your parents never experienced. Dude, yeah, like, and I think that all kind of rolls into like the same, like, you know, idea where like I just feel like a sense of guilt because I'm planning trips to go to Montana.
I was gonna say exactly, but again, I'll take it back to like, I don't see it as guilt. Like, I just went to London like right before the pandemic. Yo, when I landed in London, I was like almost cried. I'm like, I'm in Europe. When do you think my parents ever like realistically said we can be in Europe one day? Yeah. But the way I see it, I'm like, okay, I'm in Europe right now. They didn't want to go, but I'm like, I want to bring my parents. Yeah. I want this for them. Like you were saying, like, yeah, the same way. They're my life.
I think, and maybe sometimes that's why I feel guilt, because maybe I don't do enough. I feel like I'm not doing enough for them to do what I'm doing. Right, like maybe I should be, instead of planning trips.
Yeah, take them to Montana. Mom and Pop, we're going to London, baby. Let's go.
Do you think they would like enjoy going?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like sometimes that's also why I don't want to take my parents, because I'd be.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know. It'd be a whole thing.
So unwilling to like experience anything.
Taking my dad anywhere. That man wants to eat tacos everywhere he goes. I don't know what taco spot we can find in London. So
yeah, like I don't know how willing they are to embrace, like, you know, new cultures and things.
That's a whole nother. That's a different
like
kind of worms.
Traveling and doing all that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being convenient for myself.
Like, again, like I get sentimental when I think about that type of stuff, because you said the word earlier, sacrifice.
Yeah.
All the things that they've had to go through, and I just think like, yeah, we're talking about kind of, I guess, financially right now, you know, I get a check or whatever that probably supersedes any amount of savings they ever had at one point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
I remember growing up, not to expose like my parents, but whatever, we came for the mud. I remember sometimes showering in the dark because our light was cut off, or showering with cold water because our gas was cut off.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and then you lived in apartments
for a while,
a long time, which like that's tough too. When you're like cutting paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
It's a reality that it's really hard for me to look at it and be like, man, that was just 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago at all.
It was not that long ago. And I think you put it like best. Blessed and excited to be, you know, successful at, you know, at our age and where we are in our careers, you know, defined differently by different people. But we're in the positions that I think our parents worked for.
Yeah, which to bring it full circle is crazy to me that sometimes they bug out.
Yeah,
like,
and then they
do
bug
more
out.
work, and I'm like, bro, what are you talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Like, what are you doing all day behind this computer? Yeah. Sometimes the answer is nothing. But most of the time, you know, I'm doing what I got to do to, you know what I'm saying, meet my deliverables and not get fired because, you know, we don't want to lose. You want to go to London? I got to sit behind this computer for another hour.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure.
But no.
Yeah, we could. I don't know how we got. Well, I know how we got there, but that wasn't the intent of this.
No, but I think it's a great point. I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, and I think both thoughts are something that goes through a lot of our minds.
Yeah.
But I guess now let's talk a little bit more directly about, I guess, corporate culture and what it's like interacting with that.
Yeah.
Anything else stand out to you? I know you said you kind of brought this other point up with your homies. Do you have a lot of friends at work that look like you?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. For me, like I said, I've been at the company for 5-6 years, I think, and I've definitely always felt like an outsider. Now, granted, I think that's a little bit of the introvert in me speaking. I think
little bit, yeah. You are a little
those connections are there to be made, and my company does have some initiatives. I don't know how
we'll get into that
expansive
a little bit later.
They are, but I know there are things there now. But if I just walk into work again pre-pandemic and just look across the lunchroom, there's very few people that look like me.
100.
There's definitely a few. There's definitely a few African Americans. There's a few Latinos, but they're few and far in between.
Interesting.
The majority that work at my company are white and Asian. Asian and Indian, including Indians.
Gotcha.
A lot of Chinese and Indians, particularly. But Latino specifically, it's rare. And I know when walking past like our rows of cubicles, anytime I see a Latino like name, I'm like,
what's up?
What's up?
¿Qué pasó?
Yeah. But I never know if they're like Latinos, like, or like seventh generation Latino, because there's a lot of those as well.
Yeah.
I've definitely encountered. I've had an experience.
The older heads that have been here a while. I want to talk about
them.
No,
not even. I mean, like people that might look like me. Yeah, like a Monica situation, but even worse, where they know nothing.
Yeah, and they're Monica, even worse than you.
Even I just mean like more removed. Gotcha. What generation is it? Third? I think she's third.
You're third, right? Fourth, right? You're 3.5.
Fourth. These people might be like sixth. I don't know, dude.
6th or 7th, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But again, that doesn't take away.
No. But I'm just saying, like, you still don't have that like
ability to relate to them that quickly.
Yeah, at least maybe physically, appearance wise, like, okay, cool, someone looks like me. But culture wise, you're nothing like me. You know what I mean? So I definitely still feel like an outsider. I can count on one hand the amount of Latino friends that I have. Right. Particularly, I have one who I've been seeing a lot lately because, again, no one's in the office and we just speak in Spanish. And it's like,
Oh, do y'all?
Yeah, he's Colombian.
What a great way to connect with people. I feel like that is a power move that you can pull at work that helps establish,
we're here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I love pulling it. Like, well, I actually haven't had the chance to do it in my current setting yet.
You've just been remote.
Virtual, yeah. But you brought that up right now, and that's interesting. So I haven't had that opportunity to be put in that space to see where I kind of stand. Because right now, I only see the people that I work with directly and, adjacently with, and, XYZ. But I've never had the chance to like walk into like my company's cafeteria
and see what it looks like.
See where I stand. Like
that's crazy.
Interesting.
Although I say that, but we both went to school to get to this point. And that's kind of like the conditioner.
For sure.
It looks very much like what my classrooms look like.
For sure.
So it's kind of understandable. I've been feeling like an outsider. I think we're in a unique situation where our high school was predominantly minority. So to go from that, we talked about it, to school was a culture shock. So then just leading into corporate America, into my job, wasn't really surprised. It's much the same.
Yeah, in my engineering classes in undergrad, there were 2 Latinos.
Yeah.
And in my grad, when I was in grad school, I was the only one. Everyone else was, I think for my discipline, they were much the same, Indian or Asian. And I think there was 1 white person.
Yeah, so it's much the same again in a company. So and that's crazy to see, and that's where I'm like, that's what when you say, when you can pull out the Spanish, when you can pull out and just say
power move.
Yeah, like I said, we're here, like we exist
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Even if no one
let me make you uncomfortable, bitch.
Even if it's not like, it might not be a situation where like they're keeping us down or whatever. Like they might accept it, but still, it's good to see yourself represented. We've spoken about it before, representation, and it's just nice to have that common bond and know that you have like,
hey, yeah,
¿Cómo está?
La raza.
Yeah. You know who would be those people for me when I first started?
Who?
The cleaning ladies.
Bro, I love that you brought this up, because I was 100% gonna say that. Even again, this isn't a corporate life specific conversation, just work life, right? In general. So when I was working at the fruit stand, at the actual like retail,
I see what you did there.
Like that? When I was working retail, I would show up like 2 hours before we would open, 2 to 3 hours before we would open, to do like repairs. I would open up computers and phones and fix them, and it would only be me, an admin, and then like a couple of managers, maybe a couple like backroom people as well. It'd be like 5 or 6 of us at most. And me and the cleaning crew, man, we was best friends, because I would play, because we could play music at that time, and there's no one there, so no one gives a damn. So I would make sure I played the most Spanish shit, like
banging on the table.
My bad. I would like
relax.
I would try to make them feel very comfortable, because no one else would, except for maybe other coworkers that were also could speak Spanish. And then I will say, I will give a lot of flowers to people who are minorities or not, that just try, right? To try and make people that are in these jobs that some people may deem not as, highly valuable based on, whatever assumptions that they have.
Societal perceptions.
Like I look, me and the cleaning ladies, cool. They know me by my first name. They know me, like if they have any questions, who they can come talk to. Again, a lot of it's because I see someone like my mother when I see.
Absolutely, that's exactly. I see those people. I was gonna say that exact same thing. I very much had a similar experience. Similar experiences when they come around. No one pays them any mind. No one pays them any attention. Right? It's almost like they don't exist. So if you have the chance to interact with them, just hola, cómo está, cómo.
And they love it.
Yeah, and they love it. I remember when I first started, there was one in particular that she one time just stood on my desk for like 15 minutes, just like. Ay, ¿dónde fuiste a la escuela? ¿Cuántos años te miras bien joven? ¿Qué sabe qué? You just had like a whole thing, bro. She's like, ay, pues me da mucho gusto. She acting like she was my grandma, que te siga bien, que te siga yendo bien, y blah, blah, blah. Dios te bendiga. No, muchas gracias.
They are the exact kind of questions I've gotten from like, oh, like, estudiaste para esto? Like,
exactly.
Que, like, ¿qué hiciste cuando estabas like chiquillo? Like, just trying to understand, right? Because they see the same thing, right? They see that I am one of the few in this position, right, compared to everybody else. So they know that it's not common, and they're just attached to you. And it's like that I really enjoy. Although it's kind of like, when you really look at it like big picture, it's kind of sad, right? That like that is the reality. But nonetheless, I'll enjoy, I think, the beautiful moments that come out of it. Because, that's actually one of the things I was going to bring up, is like the cleaning crew and like the facilities people. That's where you're going to find a lot of like, Latinos and representation. Because that's what I was going to bring up. Right now, you made reference to having a couple coworkers that were Latinos. What about like superiors? What about like management? What about your executives? As far as because
again, huge company. So wide ranging. I'm sure there are managers, supervisors. I don't know how high up the level. I don't know our org chart. I'm terrible. I don't really care.
Are you a pretty flat org?
Nah, dude.
No.
And it's like just so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. So I'm sure there are like Latinos, somewhere along the chain.
But for you, like
I don't know how
in your
for
opinion,
me,
like, what do you see?
no, I've
None,
never had
right?
one reported to any person of minority descent. Well, again, the Asians, specific. No, like, I didn't mean it like that. Why y'all laughing? The Asians.
The Asians.
No, I've reported to
Asians, we fuck with you.
mainly for absolutely. Dude, don't even get me started.
Shout out to Bill.
Oh, shout out! I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh with that guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But no, I've reported to mainly again white people and Indians in my specific career trajectory so far. That's it.
Mm.
Those are the two ethnic groups that I've reported to. No Latinos
Interesting.
or other minorities.
Yeah, well,
Again, minority. It's weird to say minority in that because I feel like they're not a minority
in that space. They're not. Yeah, 100%. So a lot of.
But maybe that's
the
taken away from them, so I don't want to do that either.
The gist of my job is basically like in supply chain, right? Like supply chain management, and you see the same kind of thing for sure, right? Because of the company that I work for, we have a lot of business that goes on in China, so I think that's just an easy jump. So you're right; they're not the minority a lot of the times in that space. In the U.S. for sure, but not in these specific roles. So I'm sure they feel a little bit more comfortable. Although I don't know, like I'm sure they have stories to share as well, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe this is a newer thing too.
I don't want to take away from that either.
Yeah, maybe this is a newer thing. Maybe like they've gone through what we're going through now, where we're kind of like shuffling in like big waves at the moment. But yeah, when I think about like my org chart and like who like I report to, an Asian woman, who reports to a white man, white male, who reports to white male, who reports to Asian woman. Like that's the structure. Who then reports to at that point it goes up into like, you know, white man, maybe white woman. And that's an issue because you mentioned a little bit. Companies put on programs and initiatives and blase. I attended one where they had some board of directors. I think there were 2 board of directors that one was a woman, one was a guy.
Oh, this thing is running on low.
But they were very much the exception, right? They didn't have that, and that's what they spoke about. And one of them made the statement, right? You can't be what you can't see. Mm-hmm. That was very much a line
a bar.
It stuck with me. Yeah, 100%, because it's true. So then now the goal for us, much like it was when we were younger, in saying that it was, hey, I need to like strive to do better, like for my parents. I need to like be successful. I need to be XYZ. Now I'm like framing it around I need to be the person that people can look up to, right? And I need to put myself in a position to where others can see me and feel represented. And we're back.
We are back. Sorry for the interruption. I hope you like that ad for ShamWow.
Yeah. And you should do the Flexio guy, like fixing our edit. Smash.
Johnny, help.
Fix it with Flexio. No, but we ended on a no. And I think I was wrapping up my representation talk. Is I think now my motivation is to be the person that represents, to contribute to our path as a people forward. Again, it doesn't have to be in this setting. It can be in any way, shape, or form. But I know that's where I am now, and I'd like to try and make an impact if I can while I'm in this space.
I think the hard part, and well, not the hard part, but we have to understand that it has to start early.
For sure.
And that's where I don't want to get into this too much because it's punto aparte. It's like parallel. Mm-hmm. But it has to start early with things like, you know, STEM education at a lower age. For sure. Or not even STEM, but any other field, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, lawyer, whatever you call the lawyer field.
Yeah. Law.
Yeah, law. Whatever that lawyer field is called.
Electrical engineer right here, guys.
All these other, and not that higher education is the way to go for everybody.
100%. We made this point before.
But it's a good avenue, right?
For sure.
And it'll help progress us as a people.
It just has to be intentional, right? I think that's always the biggest point.
Yeah.
Like you have to go in with it with a mindset of, I'm going to like make the most of this, whatever that looks like. Even if it doesn't look like having the exact career that you thought when you jumped into it. I'm going to pursue.
I've definitely entertained the ideas of like participating in these programs and being an inspiration and mentor for younger kids, because like I said, it starts at a young age. It's
important. And even internally, right? Like I think it's a good point to bring that up now. Does your company put on like programs and initiatives? Do you participate in them? What do you think of them? Like when you hear
for outreach wise, or what? Because I talked about, they have the minority initiatives, much like yourself, but it's already for people at the company, just a way to network and meet people like yourself. I think it's one of those things where you probably get as much as you put out or put into it. I haven't participated into it too much personally, so maybe that's. But in terms of like outreach,
do you think like their intention is? Do you think, because I think a lot of the narrative sometimes around these kind of
is
like
it facetious?
Programs, exactly.
Is it like Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe that picture is real.
How many Black History Month signs have you seen?
I can't believe. Yeah, did you see American Airlines put the same kind of
like the pattern
around the logo?
I'm sorry.
Someone was like, "No way, it's Soul Plane."
Kevin Hart, where you at?
Like a great movie.
OG. Classic movie.
But yeah, are they just kind of catering to the crowd? Are they being...
I can't like condemn them or say that, because I haven't participated, so I don't know. I don't. Plus, I also don't think that many people participate in them. You know what I mean? Because it's not like
there's not that many people to participate.
Number one, number two, it's not really advertised either.
For sure,
it's not like they're putting it in our face and saying, "Hey, you know, you're this minority. Check this out." It's just kind of an afterthought, almost like on our internal website, like on the very bottom, like there's the small
hyperlinks that you never like read,
like inclusivity. Like you can click them.
Diversity and do you have a diversity and inclusion committee, or
that's what I'm saying?
Like
I think so.
Department like that's actually like employed by your company.
That's good. I don't know.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Yeah, we definitely 100% do.
Probably,
and it's huge.
Interesting.
And I think to your point. And again, maybe like I'm drinking from the juice, right? Maybe they got me. Maybe like, you know, the fruit stand that I'm employed by got me. They make me think I work for the greatest company in the world. And I do think I drink from the juice a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I wake up Friday mornings, look at my check, and be like, all right, let me drink more of this juice. Hold on now. But I have had that thought, like, is this kind of catering to, you know, especially as of recently after George Floyd, right? There was a big push by companies to show that they are, you know.
But again, is it virtue signaling?
Exactly. That's a 100% like the question that you have to ask yourself. Now, I think that comes down to company culture, knowing what it was before and after. And to be fair, I do think there has to be some grace given to companies who maybe realize that they weren't doing enough, right? They realize that, hey, this is an important part of like working, right? Because the way work looks like now, beyond just even like the WebEx and virtual reality that we talked about earlier, but like company culture is much more important than it ever was before, I think. Right? Before, the most important part, and again, painting with a broad brush here, but I think the most important part of company culture was how long could you really work at this company, right? Like, could I work here 20 years, get my pension, get my like retirement, and be happy? Like, you know, there wasn't a lot of job hopping, so companies didn't really cater to, you know, that kind of generation of employee XYZ. So to a certain extent, I will give grace to companies who are saying like, hey, this is like something that we didn't have to consider in the past, maybe we didn't do enough for, and we're trying to do more for now. But there is a lot of, okay, are you virtue signaling as well? Like, I do have those questions.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that I always err on that side as well. Even if
do you think they are? Like,
even if, I'm saying even if it kind of is a little bit, I think, like, I don't know what the intention might be, right? But as long as it's happening sometimes, I almost take it as a victory, a small victory. Maybe that's not enough. It isn't enough. But I almost err on the side of, shoot, we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to just be like, oh, screw those guys, they're virtual signaling. I mean, it's better to do something than do nothing. That's the way I see it.
I think sometimes that is the appropriate response, depending on, like, what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, intent and, you know, I can't find the word for it, but what, like, the way someone, is this person actually, like, going through the motions of, like, hosting this program or, like, being in this program? Or are they actually trying to get something out of it? And I think a lot of times you can read people, and sometimes the right thing to do is say, hey, fuck this. You are virtue signaling. Like, we are having this, whatever this is, to not make me feel represented or empowered or grow or get something out of it. We're having this so that you feel better when you go home at the end of the day.
It's definitely like a case by case basis,
Yeah.
you know, because you definitely have those times. Other times it is harder to tell, and we've mentioned it, kind of when we talk about politicians and stuff, and it's almost like, okay, well, if they are, you know, I'd rather have the wolf in sheep's clothing than the wolf, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
but no, yeah. It's definitely you know, interesting and weird situation.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, but anyways, in terms of outreach, I don't know what we do. I think we just started basically the college level, but yeah, I think, you know, if whatever you can do to kind of start much younger, I think that'll go a long way
For sure.
to progress us as a people moving forward.
I do think like you make points. There has to be an effort by us, right? Because we can't leave this in the hands of, you know, who's currently in charge. Like, it doesn't make no sense. Like, we have to kind of help build these programs, build these initiatives.
And also, I mean,
it's tough. Sometimes
we're the interested party. Like, a nosotros nos interesa. Like, they're not going to necessarily care. They're not going to go out of their way to get a Latino.
And that's how you get bad programs. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you
now
get
you're just meeting a quota.
Ineffective. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that you have to have. Although it's interesting because
a quota.
This brings me to my kind of next point, and you kind of talked about it a little bit too, right? We are easy to try and find people that look like us. Find comfort in them, right? Find a place where we belong.
Yeah, there's a song, Mi Gente.
100%. Shout out to J Balvin.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Sorry. Dang, you made me lose my thought.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you immediately like try to find comfort in someone that looks like you, right? Where you feel at home. Mm-hmm. But have you ever gotten the sense of someone that would almost like not help you because you are of the same race?
Like in a negative fashion?
Like almost like, and I hate using this term because like it's like the hot term, but I think it like they're like gatekeeping like the being the token Hispanic, the token like Latino.
Oh, of people of my ilk?
Yeah, they almost enjoy being the only person in the room. Right? They enjoy and they kind of prevent you from.
No, I don't think I've had such an experience. Again, there's so few of us, and in my direct line of work or direct like team, I don't think I've ever had the pleasure or displeasure of working with a person of a Latino heritage. Me particularly. Have you?
I haven't had it like that direct, but I've gotten like a feeling of it. And in the way that it's happened in my situation is because they'll make comments kind of downplaying our own people, right? Making themselves and ourselves the exception to the rule, right? Like, oh, like we're different. We're not like other Mexicans. We're not like other like Latinos. We're not like other whatever.
So fuck does that mean?
Yeah, fuck if I know. And you know, I at first I'm just
like you don't need frijoles
or
what?
Yeah,
I love frijoles.
Yeah, like the que hablas pendejo? Like what? No. And they enjoy being like they think highly of themselves, right? Like look at me, like I am a successful. And then they go out.
Oh, you know what?
They preach this like, you know, like look at me.
You know what?
I succeeded. I got it out the mud. And again, I never want to downplay someone's success, but at the same time, like it's they're very self like I don't know if righteous is the word or gratifying.
I kinda as I would say, I think I remember it as you were talking. I did get that feeling a little bit from an individual, but I think it was one of those individuals that I spoke about earlier who was like 6th, 7th generation removed. This kid was, for all intents and purposes, from the mountains of Caucasus. He just appeared. He just looked like me. You know what I mean? I remember one time we went out to lunch together, and like we were down in Sugarland, and we were riding around, and I took him to go eat tortas because the man was like, tortas, even though he had a Latino ass last name. You know what I'm saying?
What was his last name?
Rodriguez.
Dude.
It's cool because that's like the most generic.
Yeah.
So
facts.
And we're driving around, and it's like not even that bad of an area. I don't know Houston, so I can't tell you what it was called. But regardless, she's like, "Oh my god, this is like the ghetto."
No way.
Oh my God, like where are you? Like lock the door, and I'm like, dude, can you fucking relax, bro? Like, first of all, we're two men. Like, what are you scared of, dude? Like relax, bro.
What a sexist comment.
I'm just saying because she speaks about having to like lock the doors. I'm like, what are you locking your door for? Like, chill.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But no, yeah, and I think later on, I definitely got that kind of vibe of they not always wanting to help you. It wasn't like oh, I'm the only Latino, but it's just they don't want to. They're like selfish, you know. I definitely got that vibe, and I get that vibe from non-Latinos. I get that vibe from sometimes a white person in Asia, but whatever.
Yeah.
Because I also get that, but that's just more so like generic jealousy sort of thing, where like I don't want to help you, like then you're gonna be better at my job than I am, kind of thing. That's a whole other thing. It's not identity specific.
But yeah, for sure, that can happen with anyone and everyone, where someone's like not super willing to like help you succeed because they feel threatened. But I think that what I'm discussing is kind of rooted in the same general like feeling, right? Where they see someone else that's gonna replace them, right? Like this is the token like new Hispanic or new Latino or new whatever it is.
Yeah, I haven't had that.
And
to that level,
and they're not like again, and maybe they are willing to engage with you, but again, they think of themselves higher than their counterparts too, right? Then like their own. It's almost like you came from at some point in time. Like we have similar stories, right? Doesn't matter if you're 7th generation, 2nd generation, right? Like how can you feel better than like the people with who you are?
ass fools.
What? And I was gonna say, it's Uncle Tom, right? Like, is Tio Tomas like that?
I don't know. That's what I coined it.
Is that a thing? I was gonna say, I love it. Yeah,
I don't know, but that's what I call them.
Hey, Tio Tomas, like they're out there, right? Uncle Tom's, for people that don't understand the reference, Uncle Tom is someone that's referred to as kind of like in what's the movie?
I don't know.
Django, Samuel L. Jackson, his character, right? Like someone that caters to.
That was off of the book, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
I was describing a character like Uncle Tom. Yeah, okay. Uncle Tom is his own character. I guess I could just use the character that the book is actually after. But they cater to the white man in this circumstance, right? They cater to the oppressor as opposed to like their own people, right? Yeah. You turn your back on your own people.
Yeah, I've definitely met those people outside of work, not in a corporate setting. Thankfully, I haven't too much. So,
and maybe it's because there's just not enough of them.
Yeah,
like to
I'm sure they're out there. I definitely see a couple people. I'm like, you look like a Tio Tomas, but that's just me projecting.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, don't be a Tio Tomas.
Yeah, please. Literally, like one of the. Oh my God, I don't want to get into it. Let's not get into it. But
yeah, I just feel like that happens sometimes.
I spit on you.
So again, for me, my goal is to not be that person. My goal is to see anybody and everyone, and again, doesn't have to be someone like me. I want to think that I have the same, feeling about everybody. But especially if I see someone that looks like me, that has a similar background and story than me, that we share a certain background, I would love to try and help you if I can. Yeah, that's always gonna be my thing. I'm never gonna gatekeep, be a self-hater for whatever reason. I just think it's mad weird, and I wanted to discuss it.
Fucking bozo.
I want to bring up we talked about a little bit other minorities. What about like people beyond just like your direct Mexican or Latino friends? Like, do you think it's easier sometimes to connect with like other minorities that aren't, because the big ones most of the time white male, but do you feel like you have a bond with like other minorities as well?
At work, man.
It's easier to connect. Like even just the common thread of being the minority.
I don't know that I've been presented with that many opportunities to do so. Again,
oh really?
Like, they're so few and far between. Like the first ones that I think of are like people of African American descent and Black people.
Yeah. Do you have a lot at your company?
Again, it's kind of the same as there's more than like Latinos.
Oh really? Okay.
But it's still few. It's still few. And dude, again, so freaking big, bro. Like it's hard. It's almost like I have to go super out of my way to sit down next to them at the lunch table. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So, you're forcing it almost.
Yeah, exactly. Therefore, but there are a few, and we just get along. Like the few that I do know, and I'm really good friends with, just because culturally we're the same, right? When I sit down with like my typical lunch friends, and I'll kind of peel the curtain back a little bit. The way that I came into we have like a rotation program, and so a group of people start at the same time, and that's called like your class. And so they by default become friends because you like go through orientation for 2 weeks together. Most of them were white, and what we've already discussed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the people that you just kind of default friends with. But I don't get along with them like on that, like outside of work, you know, it's
You
hard.
don't get along with most people, so.
No, but I mean, these are the type of people that when they're like talking about going out, they go out to bars and just fucking playing Journey and Queen. We just talked about this last time. You know, I'd be so bored, and I don't get along with it. They talk about going to festivals like Lollapalooza, or not even Lollapalooza, all the rock
that's
festivals.
fun.
No,
Oh, okay.
like all the rock. Sorry, not Lollapalooza. All the
Woodstock.
rock festivals. Whatever, dude. I don't know, dude. I don't even know the names. Ooby Doob. No, that's techno. That's house music. Yeah,
It's Ubby Dubby, not Ooby
whatever.
Dooby.
I don't even know the names, but Bonnaroo. Well, that's one of them. Bonnaroo.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I was just like, dude, I don't know any of these people you're talking about. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you don't have like any like
nah,
common interest. Yeah.
They don't know who Eminem is. I don't know why Eminem is the first
I
name I thought of.
Calm down, Hermilo.
They probably do know who Eminem is. Oh,
Go,
does
dude,
know
hey,
Eminem.
Hermilo loves Eminem.
No,
hey,
they don't.
Bro, we went karaoke one time and he sung his life out to Stan. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
he
funny.
felt it. Shout out Hermilo.
Nah, but my point is, I do with the few like black friends that I have at work, we just click because we fuck with basketball, we fuck with rap, we fuck with the culture. Man wears sneakers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he had some Shadow Ones on. I was like, bro, I like your
ones.
kicks, you know what I'm saying? Like,
which
so
is a
we
conversation that you would rarely have with someone else. I mean, there are, right? But like
very few at my company.
And some of it's age.
Yeah.
Some of it's like there's a
That's
big
the other
age
thing.
gaps on some. Yeah. Are you on the younger end of the spectrum? Are you kind of like or in between, or are you like kind of now becoming the norm? Again, exposing himself.
I'm gonna be both of those. That's a good question. I think I am on the younger side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
There's at my company, I don't know what. There's a lot of people that've been there, like, oh, I've been here for 40 years. I've been here for 30 years.
Talking about this shit.
Yeah, and then I find that everybody that comes in around our generation, I think this is outside of my company as well. We're just moving. We're just hopping.
Did. Yeah.
So therefore, we can't build up that like population base or whatever.
Yeah.
The term is. So yeah, I think I am a little bit on the younger side just because of that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah, I think the late 20s is when you start to maybe see a little bit more. But for the most part, yeah, you're still like on the younger side a lot of the times, especially when you're like talking like manager positions, directors. Like those are all like old motherfuckers for sure.
Well, actually, my supervisor is literally like a year older than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a white man though. But yeah, but
sense.
he's very young. But he's super cool. I get along with him.
I do. Do you find like do you appreciate the employees that obviously don't fall into any minority category, that kind of like get it, they understand that it's a challenge, like sometimes being in these spaces, being in corporate and not having that representation?
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Again, my manager's a pretty good example of that, I think. So I definitely appreciate that sentiment. So
yeah. Do you think they can pick up whenever like there's other microaggressions like against you? And do they like say anything about it, or do you think they're just like cool? Like, do you think they're actually like helping, or do you think they're just like cool people? And
I know,
not
I don't think I've had too many experience with like microaggressions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because of the field that you're in?
Yeah. And my team in particular, we're kind of isolated, and I don't do a lot of collaboration with people, and there's not a lot of opportunities there.
Okay.
Opportunities to be microaggressed.
Yeah. I think
so. I haven't had to deal with it personally.
Yeah, I haven't had to deal with it too.
And if I have, I didn't even notice it. That's how micro it was.
It was nano.
Yeah, it was nano. It was pico.
It was a pico aggression. Ooh, dang! 10 to the power of -10. Damn. Ooh.
It's not -10. Is it?
Yeah, pico is -9.
Dude, you smarter than me, bro.
Nano is -9.
Oh,
and then pico is, I'm pretty sure. And then Armstrongs. I think pico and Armstrongs are the same thing.
All right, relax. Move on.
It's the unit of measurement for like atoms and shit.
Lowest I go is nano, bro.
Okay. Well, all right, back. No, yeah, I haven't had too many of those interactions myself either. As far as microaggressions, we haven't spent too much time like really like discussing what those look like. Do you feel like it's something that you could pick up on, or no, if it were to happen?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I don't think so.
Like,
I'm pretty oblivious a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So it'd be tough. I'm not sure what it would even look like.
The only ones that I really like pick up on, and sometimes they're like not even that bad, but I definitely think about it. Right, when people bring up like a certain like thing that I'm supposed to like, that I'm supposed to enjoy, Like,
Okay.
that's happened. Where it's like, oh, like, you know, Rudy, where you from? Like, oh, I'm from Dallas. Right? I got a lot of people that work in California. Be like, oh man, like I know a great place to eat, like, and it's like a Mexican food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess to a certain extent, like they're trying to like find something that like we both enjoy.
Uh-huh.
But it's like shit like that, right? Like, oh, like I know the best place to get like tacos, or oh, there's this
Torchies.
there's this Mexican restaurant that I really like when I'm in that like
Rositas.
Rose's Cafe. Like
that.
That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Shit like that, like has happened for sure. I not in this role that I'm at now, but like definitely before, I've had conversations about kind of that have alluded to my inability to do something because of you know who I am, or because of who I am, right? Like I'm put into that box, like, you know, hey, like you should be doing labor intensive work because of you know, landscaping. Like you should, you know, do this XYZ. I've had that happen a little bit.
What I will say, I don't know if they were directed at me, but I've definitely, I don't know if they were micro. I guess they were. I've definitely have people that are in our circle who share sentiments of privilege, and so therefore then I feel offended. But I don't know if they were directed at me. I just took offense to it because I'm like, how dare you? Where I had a kid who we were just sitting there and he's just spouting nonsense about, bro, we don't make any money. We're like low class. I'm like, bro, you're literally making six figures. What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Way.
He was like, yeah, man, like, and also he's very like toxic, and I don't even know why this kid's a whole mess. But he's like, girls, they want people that are like rich, bro, and we're like not rich at all. Like, we're like low class. We're low middle maybe, and I'm like, dude, shut up.
What else?
Again, I go back to like, have you ever taken a shower in the dark? Shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? We're low class. Like, how dare you? And he just comes from such a place of privilege. This kid like studied abroad. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went to school not in the U.S. He traveled the world kind of, and now he's just sitting here complaining about how we don't make enough money. And I'm just like, how dare you?
And sometimes that's just as bad as, you know, these interactions where someone's like making a microaggression against you. Because like, bro, like shut the fuck up. Yeah. And I pause. I never want to like, you know, again, everyone's reality is different, so like that shapes, you know, your perspective and your opinions and whatever. But like sometimes you have to be able to, and that's the hard part when dealing with white people, is an inability to make that assessment. Like that's, you know, like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah. Again, I said it right before we started recording. I just overheard a conversation in the break room the other day.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
between a white woman and an Asian man, and I came in late, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt that maybe I was missing some context. But I was there long enough to hear her say something along the lines of, "Oh, you know, my daughter, she's applying for colleges, da 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 da, but I don't think she's gonna get any financial aid." She's like, "I know I didn't because I was white," and I was like, what the fuck?
You poor thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, boo hoo. I'm like, what scholarship does your daughter need, bro? You're a fucking engineer who's been here for ages. You probably make a shit ton of money. You know what I'm saying? And like, again, maybe you're not stinking rich, but
for sure,
shut up.
Like it's
well within your means to like afford this. Like, shut the fuck up.
100%. And again, maybe there's some validity to, you know.
And she was just very like, boo-hoo me, boo-hoo my daughter.
Yeah, and it just doesn't like that just goes to show how much of like the picture they don't see. Right? They're just so focused on like their reality and like their perspective, and I'm sure they're getting fed like, you know, the same shit from, you know, their own circles of friends where like, yeah, you know, my daughter probably didn't get a scholarship either because she's, you know, basic
from the mountains of Caucasus.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep saying.
And I'm gonna say this just because we haven't said it in other times where we roasted white people on the podcast. I know that there are a lot of allies out there. 100%. So again, never mind like I said, speaking.
We
like,
definitely have those that I've felt
for sure. And I think the reason it's an interesting like conversation to have now, especially like to the lady that you said was making those comments, that's been with this company for a long time. I imagine that they're older.
They are.
And I think it's a fair assessment to say that there's a younger generation of people from the mountains of Caucasus,
the Slavic region.
That
I just thinking of the Cat Williams character.
Yes,
that's not my baby. That's a Slavic baby. That's a Viking baby.
That are more progressive and they see a little bit more of the picture. But in corporate, there's a lot of people that we work with that are much older, like 40s, 50s, 60s, sometimes in the 70s and beyond.
Dog, retire already.
Yeah, dog, come on, bro. Like, you're fine.
Why are you still here? I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
why are you here?
Go sit on the board or something. Like just die in peace. But and in those circumstances, there's not. There's probably less grace that can be given to them because and maybe it's a little bit unfair, but for the most part, in a lot of these interactions, we are dealing with people from a different generation that saw race very differently than what I think the generation of people that are like in their 20s and 30s right now see it. So I think it's extremely prevalent in corporate life, and you see that like for some of these programs that are like pushing like, you know, inclusion and diversity, and that's one thing that I have seen. So I did a little rotation with a team for the company that I worked for that was called the Supply Diversity Team, and essentially all they did was make an assessment on like, hey, on the money that we're spending, how are we spending it with like minority-owned businesses, right? Whether it was like woman-owned, Black-owned, Latino-owned, Asian-owned, veteran-owned even, right? Like they looked at it like at all different angles. And then the intention there was to just say like, hey, like we haven't given them an opportunity to even like present like a bid for this. So we're going to go out and find companies that provide these goods and services that are minority-owned and just bring them to the table. And even that would rub some of the people that like were on the opposite ends, right? Where they're like, I don't want to consider another company. I like the company that I work for now that like is doing this good or service for us right now. But and some of it you could feel that like they were frustrated that this was coming up because of this push, right? Because of these initiatives. And now there's like a counter argument where like it's like reverse racism by like some of these people, right? Because it's a zero-sum game, apparently. Because it's not always. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a zero-sum game. But in this particular like circumstance, like what's wrong with bringing in a company that we vetted, that we believe can provide this goods and services at a quality level, and bringing them to the table because they weren't here before. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when like I will like find, I think, character flaws in people when like they have that attitude and in that sense of, you know, they think now it's against them, right? Like this reverse. Oh, my daughter will never get a scholarship because they're, you know, like it's just a stupid mentality to have.
Yeah, dude, you see that everywhere. So
for sure. All right, now going through my list, I think my blueprint for that one's called White Tears.
The whole affirmative action bullshit.
Oh man. Okay, so now I think this may be a good time to talk about some of the stories that were shared by friends, and then we may at some point be able to get a third opinion that could shed some light on a perspective that we don't have.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll start with this one because this one is kind of, I think, speaking to some of what we were talking about right now. Thanks. Should I give their name? No, right? I don't want to write people out on jobs.
Keep them anonymous.
Okay, so in this circumstance, shout out to the homie that sent this one. They work in a similar kind of role, right? Where like dealing with suppliers, dealing with having people bid, and so sometimes you got to go meet people. So in this story, homie said that he went to go meet with a company that were giving him like the tour. He's trying to figure out if this was the person that they wanted to win this contract. And he said that the people that he was with just kept talking about Trump and increasing border security, which had nothing to do with the company and essentially like the project that they were working on. And the guy that sent this over was like, it just felt very intentional, right? That me, because Mexican male, right, young, it felt like they just kept, he said that it felt like they were like bringing this up to like make me uncomfortable, right? That it was intentional. Which I don't know if you've ever, like, you obviously have, you just spoke right now that you haven't been in that. I haven't been in that either yet, but I'm interested in seeing like when someone is willing to like cross that line, because like that takes a lot of audacity. And honestly, like, what do you like seek to gain from sitting here and making me uncomfortable?
Yeah. Nah. Yeah, it's yucky, gross. I had a coworker who would talk about it with another one, but I was just eavesdropping at that point. They're cubicles.
And again, like I'm not gonna sit here and like prosecute everyone for like their political opinions, but
if I haven't experienced anything like that,
to the point, right? For this one, it is someone kind of almost going out of their way to
because I was gonna say like this was at least like a casual conversation between people. I just so happen to not agree with their viewpoints, but yeah, that's
this is someone you're coming to do business with, right? And sometimes I've had this happen, and maybe this is what that person was intended, where someone will kind of like poke the bear, like they'll kind of like try to see like how I react to like
you're a bear. What kind of bear are you?
The gayest one.
I was gonna say like are you a bear or an otter, bro?
I don't know what these things are. You know way more about this than I do, huh? So
talk about it on the basement yard. It's okay.
Okay.
My favorite podcast.
But yeah, like I have had people that kind of like poke at it to kind of see if I'll say something right, like that's maybe politically charged, which ultimately becomes like racially charged. And I tried to avoid it, and again, for me, like I just would never, right? I would never like kind of bring this up in conversation. But on the other side of the coin, I think sometimes people feel very comfortable like being able to make others uncomfortable because of their privilege and the position that they're in. Yeah. Next one, and I think this one. Let me see here. Oh, this one's wild. I had a friend that sent me. They work in the I guess what's the healthcare.
Okay.
I was gonna say, what are the heroes right now? Who are our heroes? In healthcare, and said that she once had a patient tell them that they didn't want to be seen by them because they were illegal. Bro, that was when I read it. That was my reaction. I was like,
"That's fabricated." I don't believe this person. No,
bro.
But I believe it.
Again, I'm sure that in some of these spaces, you're dealing with very old people that have a very like certain mentality.
Man, I'll disconnect this nitrogen or this oxygen tank. Nitrogen. I'll disconnect this oxygen tank right now, bro.
Shit, I'll turn this hole all the way up and light a match. We both going, bitch.
Incriminating ourselves.
I would never do this.
Allegedly.
Again, this is like a rap song. I'm just talking about shit. None of this is true.
Bro, just get the fuck out.
Can you imagine?
No, get the fuck out.
Like, how do you even react? Like, what do you say?
I would have popped up.
Yeah, well, like, can you? Like, no. And honestly, no. I think that's fair because I think that's how I react right now. My initial reaction when I hear that story is that, oh man, I would have been like, bitch, fuck you. Like, I would have told them off. I would have gone in like XYZ. But if I'm actually in that situation at work, knowing that I'm like representing my company as who they are, like, what do I do?
What is your company doing about it? Did she go into, or she or he? I don't know if it's she or he. What did they go into?
I followed up, but I didn't get a response in time to know.
We want to hear it.
Drop it in the
comments. Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Were you backed at least? Because that's what I would hope.
Yeah, for sure. I was wondering, did you actually like?
If not, get out of there. Because fuck them.
Would you leave? Do you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing? Right, knowing that like this person fucking doesn't like you.
No, but I'm saying if like your employer isn't backing you up.
Oh, for sure.
Like fuck them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that doesn't happen. And I'm sure sometimes they try to make it seem like they are.
Yeah, because if they just
really
okay, cool, whatever, and like,
they're covering their own ass half the time.
Nah, that's why I would be like, well, this place's values do not align with my own. You clearly do not value my people.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, fuck that. So, if anyone's ever been in a situation like that.
That's like when you see those videos of racist shit going on in the stores. I'm like, I would definitely pop off on this person.
100%. But then I actually think like if I was there, like, and I knew I was being recorded, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeet.
I'd eat him harder, bro.
I'm gonna say World Star while I'm doing it too.
World Star.
Whatever happened to World Star? Did they like shut down?
Twitter.
Damn. Well,
Twitter took over, bro. What do you need to go to World Star for?
Yeah. Shout out though. That I used to love scrolling through.
What's Sharkeisha?
Oh my god, what a classic! Yeah, you were Sharkeisha that.
Sharkeisha there, or the shovel girl. You remember that one?
Oh yes. Oh, that dink was a dink like I've never heard before. It's the only way I can describe it.
Oh man! All right,
but yeah, so we put a Sharkeisha this illegal.
Hey, hold on, relax. Relax.
This bitch making the illegal comments.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. That was almost derailed.
Yeah.
About
to get canceled.
Yeah. Fuck it. There's that one. I have, and these next few are gonna like start to like peek in. Oh, let me share this one because this one is I think a little bit unrelated to the topic of conversation that I think our guest is gonna provide more context on now.
Yeah,
so
let's get to the guest.
I'll do this one and then we'll do the guest. So we had another homie share. They work in a similar environment in healthcare, but they work in the mental health space. And there was a situation that she was describing where there was a kid in crisis and needed to be attended to, right? She needed to like step in. And so she does, like she comes up, introduces herself to the mother of the child that is in crisis. And the reaction by the mother was like, who are you? I'm pretty sure that in this circumstance, they're in the Midwest because they gave me a couple other stories and the reference to the Midwest. So there's not a lot of minorities here. Who are you, first of all? And in her story, she says, like, oh, like I introduce myself. I say, sorry that I don't have my badge on, but like I'm so-and-so. I'm your therapist. Like, you know, I'm here to help. Like, what's going on? And then after that, the next question is like, no, you're not. Like, you're not white. Where's like my therapist? Like, I need the person that's supposed to be here.
These people are making these things up. There's no way.
Again, that's
the
but
gall, the gumption.
It's crazy. The caucasity of it. Oh, hold on. And that's the extra layer to this story.
No, I'm thankful I don't work with people.
That's the extra layer was that she was like, and at the end of this, the reason that this was kind of defeating was because this was not a white woman saying this.
Who was
This
it?
was another Latina saying this to me.
A tia Tomasa?
A tia Tomasa. Tomato.
Well, fuck that bitch, bro.
Which is crazy. I think, and then that's part of why I brought up earlier, right? Where there are people that like, you know, there's a bit of like self-hatred, like in some of like these ideas that people have, right? In her perceiving that only a white person is qualified to assist me, and I'm not comfortable, right? Because that's something that's common, right? The illegal one is similar, right? Like I don't trust you with this service because you are not who I expect to be in this role, right? White woman and or whatever it is, right? And different jobs, that there are different stereotypes of what that person looks like. And in this circumstance, when she didn't fit what this person expected them to be, like, can you imagine like feeling like, what do you say? What do you do?
Yeet. World star. Nah, bro, that's crazy. I was like, I can't even believe. I really thought they were making this shit up. That's insane.
Hey,
because it's one thing, like, you know, these people are out there. Like, I know they exist.
100%.
But to actually like have the balls to act on it and say something, that's what's crazy to me. I'm like, dude, I mean, that's just. I can't.
And the thing is, like, I think you're right. I would feel more that way if I hadn't seen if cell phones didn't exist. Because
that's true.
You've seen so much of this now. I can only imagine what was happening when shit wasn't getting recorded. Right? Like, people will be saying some stupid shit now with phones in their face. Mm-hmm. But like before, right? Well, imagine what that looked like. Yeah. And I think maybe that's why sometimes these people do feel like they can like get away and say these things and voice. And again, sometimes people don't even think they're in the wrong. They genuinely believe what they believe.
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Well, I'm sad. Let's move on to our third perspective as you continue to share some of these. I think we're gonna bring on a person who is unlike us.
Yeah, so let me tell this one, and then I think that will open up, because I had one that was shared by my sister. Shout out. Like I said, she's worked in corporate for a long time. And this one is less to do about race and more to do about gender.
The other minority.
Uh-huh.
The 2%.
The 2%. And so in this story, she was like, this was a while ago, but and I'm gonna give some details here. This was the crazy part. Do you remember, or do y'all remember, during the Black Lives Matter protests, the gun wielding lawyer?
No.
The guy that was like standing in front of his house with like his wife that had like this gun. The
white bitch with the little pistol.
The white girl that had and the guy with the gun.
Yeah. That bitch with the gun. They're both bitches. Just, you know, I didn't say bitch in the one with the dog.
Both of them.
He's a bitch.
Both of them. You remember that? You remember that story? So my sister was like, "Do you remember those people?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, had a conversation with that person at one point in time. Yeah.
Why?
She was like, whenever that happened, I knew the law firm that he worked for and represented. And so I remember having an interaction with someone from them, and it was him. He was the one that was in charge of, like, you know, whatever my sister was doing with my sister representing her company, and he was representing like his law firm. And when it came time to negotiate, to like have, you know, like a business like discussion, the guy I asked her, like, he just like blatantly said this. He was like, yeah. She was like, I don't negotiate with women. That's all he said. He was like, I don't negotiate with women. I need to like speak to somebody else.
These are the people like this are the people that run our country.
And again, yeah, this motherfucker's rich. Like, you saw his house.
He
like,
was on CNN the next day.
Literally, yeah.
Or Fox News. Sorry, he was on Fox News the next day.
Fox News
my bad.
And people loved him, right? Like on a certain side of the argument, and that was it. And I knew this going in, right? But I think now that exposed that there's a layer of the conversation that I can't speak to, and that's being a woman in these corporate settings. So to share a little bit of that perspective.
You're not a woman?
News to me too.
That nose ring had me thinking otherwise.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm kidding. All right, now we're back.
Well, Miss Monica, thank you for hopping on and joining us. Yeah, we had to turn her mic on real quick. Because yeah, I think at first we were gonna just ask you to share some thoughts, but we appreciate you hopping on and sharing your stories or your perspective. So considering what we've been talking about today, I guess hold on before we jump into that, Monica, let's introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your work background, what you've been doing, and then we'll jump into like some stories that kind of fit into what we've been talking about today.
Okay. So like Kevin, I also have an electrical engineering background. And I would say just there, I got a glimpse into how the workforce might be, because it was slim pickings with the with the girls. Yeah, like there was not a lot of females in my
Kevin saw the one. It was like
I was even part of some programs that encourage women in STEM. So I did some of those like summer camps during college and stuff like that. I'm in the AV field, so I work with audio video stuff. I work for an electronics company that manufactures AV products. So very
check, baby.
Very male dominated.
100%.
So I think my background, or what I guess perspective I can bring, is female, young, Latina, so it's just like, it's like all the things. I'm very much a minority.
We even got that privilege. We got that male privilege.
Yeah, we've been speaking from perspective of male privilege this whole time.
Yes.
I'm disgusted by us.
Yeah, so I think I don't even know. So there's like a couple stories. I don't know if we want to get into it or.
I'd love to start with just a moment where you it was just very apparent, right? Where you knew that this comment or whatever happened. I'd love to hear about where something like that just stood out to you.
So coming into my latest position, and I think just in general, I knew I kind of had to work harder than my male counterparts just to kind of almost prove my qualifications, which, and I hate to say that, but it's very much a male dominated field. So just all eyes are on me, being the only girl in my engineering department.
Do you think you have to work harder than they do and achieve half of what they do just to be on the same
You mean achieve double?
Yeah, sorry. Achieve double.
Yeah, they achieve less, and you achieve more, but you have to work harder for it just to be on a level playing field.
A little bit, but also I think just the way I came in pretty hot. I was like I said, I knew I had a lot to prove. So, and I moved up pretty quickly in my company. So I became the supervisor for my department within a year of me being there. So here I am managing literally 50, 60-year-old white men. Yeah. And
what's that like?
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't horrible. They were
they were terrible people. All of them.
I was kidding. They were the nicest folks.
It was a topic that came up, some of these guys have been in the field longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
So they were
That's
just
crazy.
they never. I got that comment a lot, and even got that comment a couple weeks ago. I was telling some of my friends, I was like, oh, this jerk was talking to me, basically saying, "Oh, well, I've been doing this for 25 years, and you sound pretty young." So, and I was like, okay, well, you're still talking to me, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't
What
know.
does that say about you, buddy?
I don't know what we're doing here, but yeah. So I mean, managing people that were older than me in general is like, yeah, it's just something to kind of like tread lightly with, but it was for the most part fine. I think my company culture is just really chill. Like we're a very small company. We're like a family private company, so it's just, I think the culture that they've built there's not those kinds of people that make those comments. So like I don't get those comments from my coworkers, and I think even like y'all were bringing up some, like how much does your company actually back you when something like that happens. I posted something on my Instagram. I don't know if y'all saw it, but a couple months ago, I think, well, like some dealer of ours called me sweetheart in an email, and he said something about, oh no, sweet cheeks. It was sweet cheeks. He said sweet cheeks. He's like good, something like, I have to look for it, but yeah, something sweet cheeks.
Who is this
guy? And it was crazy, and I was like, is he talking to me? Like, what?
Yeah,
I was like,
to
the audacity
to put that in writing.
Yeah, and to put it in an email, yeah, with like a whole bunch of other people on CC, like on copy.
Yeah.
I was just like,
and so what happened?
Oh, my company, absolutely, you're off the case. Like, no, we're, he's fired as a dealer of ours. Like, we're not gonna make sure he never does business with us ever again. Like,
shout out.
Like, never. Yeah. He's like, you'll never have to speak to him again. Like, if he tries to call you or contact you, like, just give. Like, my manager was like,
had you dealt with that person before? Like, had you been working with them?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So like the kind of.
I wish somebody called me sweet cheeks.
No.
Yeah, I want to be harassed at work.
So I guess like the kind of work that we
gross.
do, we like support products, we're kind of like a call center, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, when I was a supervisor for that department, it's not the big department that I'm in now, and but when I was supervisor there was like some lady, and she was just like really disgruntled. She was just whatever, and I was trying to tell her like, hey, like this is what you should do, like this is the next steps, blah blah blah. And she was like, well, are you sure? Like, can you ask somebody else? Like, can you ask a guy? And this is a woman. And she was like, I just want a guy's opinion. Like, no offense, but like, I need to hear from a guy. Like, this is what we need to do.
Offense.
And I was like, I'm literally like, she was like, well, I was talking to so-and-so last time, which is a guy. She's like, can you just put me on back with him? I'm literally his supervisor. So I was just like,
bitch, I'm the manager.
I can do the whole turnaround and like, I'm the manager.
Yeah.
Like,
you talking to him.
Yeah, so like, can I speak to your manager? I'm the manager. So it was just really crazy. And then, so, I mean, actually how that story ended, like, I actually just ended up pulling some other random guy on the phone just to repeat what I said. I was like, can you just get her off of my phone, like, and tell her?
Yeah.
Like, so he acted like, another supervisor, basically like another supervisor, and had to like tell her, explain to her, it was a janitor, had to explain to her like, hey,
in
like
Spanish.
she's actually the subject matter expert for this product. You should do what she's telling you to do. And she was just like, okay, well, I guess.
That sucks.
And I was like,
That's
she was
crazy.
supposedly the CEO of her company too. She's like CEO of her AV company. And I'm like, how can you think that like you got to your position and you're doing what you're doing, but like another female is not as qualified to like give you support or like
A Tomasa.
Yeah.
Fucking
So-
I don't know
wild.
if she was Latina, but
Okay.
what's the women version?
I don't
Yeah,
think
what's
so.
the women
And-
version of this? I don't know. We'll come back. Kevin will coin another term and come back for this.
Yeah, so
This sense of like not being qualified because of your gender being like the biggest one here.
yeah.
You get that from both sides of the male perspective and the female perspective.
Well, there's not like a whole lot of females that I talk to in general. Like
Yeah.
all my coworkers are dudes. Like I have one girlfriend in the company, I guess. Like, but it's literally me and her.
Hey, what is she?
She's what I used to be. She's an application engineer now.
Oh, race.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Oh, I was,
Definitely
she's white.
She's white.
Yeah, I would
Interesting.
definitely say okay. So like my group of friends, we call ourselves like the diversity of our company.
Diversity Day.
Diversity Day. Yeah, we're literally it because, well, first of all,
such a good episode, by the way.
Great.
Yeah. So we're all, we've got me, Hispanic,
me,
female, and then we got the white female, we've got a white guy, we've got a Hispanic guy, we've got an Asian guy, we've got a black guy,
We got the whole rainbow.
We got them all.
Captain Planet.
We like we got the male, female, and all the races.
Y'all are on all the marketing and advertising for the company.
They just put our group there.
Exactly. All the selfies when we all hang out. That's literally it. Y'all are on the pamphlet of the company.
Yeah.
Hey, I've always wanted to be on the pamphlet of the company.
Which is funny because
I'm mad cute. Put me on the pamphlet.
Get the fuck ugly ass boy.
Like one of my best friends, he started the day that I started because you just be kind of like he was saying when your rotation program or whatever, like just whoever you start with, you kind of like becomes friends with. He actually thought that like I was like what is it, front desk people or
receptionist
or something. I don't know, like some business or like sales. I don't know, something else. When we started on the same day. And then we get our pamphlets or whatever, and I think there was another guy that started, and he was sales. But then on ours, it both says application engineer, and he's like, "Oh, you're an application engineer?" He was like, "Oh, I thought you were like."
Dang.
He didn't think I would be an engineer just because I guess I'm a girl. So I was like, "Oh, this one, he's like my best friend now." So. Do
you see any so you have the one white girl in your company, but what about like bigger picture? I'm sure you deal with like other people in like this corporate environment. Do you run across like Latinas at all, whenever or often?
No.
Yeah, right.
No, there's one other, and I hired her. So like there is one other female Latina. In
but
my
even
company.
like outside of your company, like at other companies that you work with, have you like seen like what does that look like?
No.
No, right?
No, not in. Tough. So like I'm in a very weird niche kind of industry. Like AV is like. The nerds of the nerds, like they're I don't know, so it's just you don't see a lot of
women in general
Latinas. And then like Latinas, no, not at all.
Dang.
So in my previous company before this one, I was the only one. Again, I had one of my friends hired, and she was young, like Asian, so it was just like since she was like also the diversity, but like, and I think that too, like
that's super important.
Like, I feel like I'm trying to bring people along
100%.
with me. Like,
I think we were talking about that, right?
Crazy.
We have to advocate for ourselves in these situations. Because, or else, like, who will, right? And that sucks, like, the story that you told about another woman, like, challenging, like, your opinion, because those are sometimes even, like, bigger obstacles, right, than the actual person that we are trying to address, right? Yeah. A lot of the times in these situations, we know very specifically who the oppressor is, white, rich, male, and then like there's a cascading, group from that. But when it's your own people getting in the way, like that's just got to be tough. And I think my perspective is one where like I don't think about those challenges a lot of the time. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Do you have any other like stories that come to mind? Any tea?
No, not really.
That's a Kevin answer. Hey, y'all are definitely dating. That's a Kevin answer. Kevin, you got anything else to say?
Nah,
not really. No, I just know we've gone pretty long, so I don't want to like drag it out. But I mean, pretty short and sweet. My, like, I would say like, I deal with it not within my company, but like just in the industry. Yeah, for sure. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that I gave you the floor to if you wanted to share more.
Thanks.
For you to share, but I appreciate you.
Okay, I gotta hop back off now. So.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ms. Monica. No, but I think we're about to wrap up here in a second. Kevin, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
I'm just glad I don't work with people, bro. I think that's what I'm getting out of this. I'm starting to rethink my desire to be closer to customers, bro.
Putting people into the equation is always going to be tricky. I do think it's an inexact science to have to deal with these,
personalities and just like different perspectives that sometimes you just
and when the problem that you're addressing is one around like culture and identity and race and all these things that are like even just very difficult to talk about just themselves, but then put them in like a work setting where you have to kind of be politically correct and you kind of have to be like sensitive to like certain like topics and conversations. It's a very weird space to address these type of problems is kind of like the point that I'm making.
We belong though.
100%. I think that's a great way to say it.
When you ask me later on, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Anything else, Kevin? We belong. So
Dang.
You know,
Put on a slogan.
No.
Dang, 100%.
we'll make merch coming soon.
Well, I think that's also all I had to share. I know that there's probably a lot of points and topics that we missed. Any stories that anyone else had out there that, you know, you can relate to where you felt like your identity in any way, shape, or form, race, religion, ethnicity, nationality, whatever it may be. Sexuality. You got something to say?
No.
Oh, okay.
So what if I did, buddy boy?
You
it's
made
important.
the joke earlier. Anyone out there that has anything and you want to share, hey, like, you know, let us know. I definitely have to read some more off. And thank you to everyone that shared some stories that I didn't get a chance to get to today. Sorry, we didn't want to keep running on. But yeah, I think my final thought is, again, what I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast is I will continue to be the person that I wanted to see coming into this position, right? Being the person that, again, you can't be what you can't see. So I want people to see me so that they know that they can beat me. Damn, bars.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Kevin, any final thoughts?
No, give you my final thought. We belong.
There we go. That's what I
We
wanted,
belong.
baby. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Make sure y'all follow us on all the socials. Rudy.dtx.
Coach Kev Ortiz.
And...
Oh no. Is it M_Flores?
She doesn't know her own.
1214.
1214.
We'll tag her so you definitely know. And your skating page.
No.
No, okay.
It's dead.
Oh, is it dead? Did you?
No, my knee is injured. I can't skate.
Well, hey, when the knee comes back, we back up and running. We back up and rolling, baby.
Rolling with money.
Yeah, let's get it. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Y'all have a good rest of the night.